Hello, welcome back to another FPL video on Fantasy Football Scout. Team selection time ahead of Game Week 12 with Gianni, as always. Going to go through how we did in Game Week 11. Very, very good week though, spoiler alert. And then have a look ahead to Game Week 12 as well. So if you have been enjoying these videos, we're going to be here every single game week. Please do give them a like and hit that subscribe button. And Gianni, how are you feeling this week? You must be feeling pretty good.
It's nice to get a green arrow, but in typical kind of FPL manager fashion, I look at it and go, if only. There's always something, isn't there, that you're like, oh, I could have had this or I could have had this. But a green's a green. I can't complain.
Yeah, you're not a proper FPL manager if you're ever happy. Like I'm the same. I scored like 80 points with 10 men. I'm thinking, I could have got a few more points somewhere. Did I make all the right decisions? But yeah, overall, look, I'll bring your team up. So 82 minus 4. I know what you mean. Like in some, you had like all the premiums that did well, but a lot of the premiums did well. So it maybe kind of, it didn't feel as good as it could have been. But there's plenty of scores out there, like 50 or 60 this week. So 82 with a 4-point hit. What transfer did you end up doing in the end?
Yeah, so I sold Kilman, bought in Reece James. I had no money to do that, so I had to fund it. And with a very heavy heart, I had to sell my boy Jack Grealish. Jota came in, didn't play, got 18 minutes at the end, I think it was. But I just looked at the next two fixtures. I was like, oh, Jota's got his old club Wolves, and then he's got Fulham, and Grealish had no one, and then Wolves. So I was like, even if it's just a short-term move, I was happy to do it. And I do think Jota against Fulham's a nice one to have. So yeah, Grealish went. I had no money tied up in Grealish either because I was late to the party. So I didn't lose anything in maybe 0.1. But yeah, it wasn't like many managers that may have like 0.6 tied up in him. And it's quite tricky to sell and then rebuy. I didn't have that dilemma.
Yeah, a bit of an easy decision then. Like for me, I got him at 7.1, so it was much harder to go through with it. So yeah, he only got 1 point. We'll have to see. As always, we're recording this on Tuesday, actually Tuesday morning this time, but it's not going to go out till Wednesday afternoon. So we'll have to see what happens in the Champions League and stuff with Jota as to whether or not he gets any minutes against Fulham. But we'll come on to that in just a second. So De Bruyne captain and Sterling came through. Was there any part of you thinking about selling Sterling, or were you just happy because you already had De Bruyne locked in?
I considered it. I considered the Sterling to Bruno switch, which I've wanted to make for a few weeks now. And yeah, it turned out Sterling outperformed Bruno. Again, that's a move that I'm not entirely sure about moving forward. It was nice to see Sterling and KDB partner up. Sterling's got 4% ownership, Andy. Like, he's an incredible differential with these fixtures if he's starting. But was I sweating on him starting? Absolutely. It was a nerve-wracking time. I was at 5-2. The team news came out at 2. I was clicking refresh every minute from 57, 58, 59, just thinking, please let Sterling start. And unfortunately, he did. And it was 50-50 between him and Torres. But he started and he performed. And when he links up with KDB like that and you're on both of them, it's an absolute joy. KDB also hit the woodwork again, twice in a row. My captain, KDB, has hit the woodwork. Werner, I mean, how I've got 5 points off Werner this week, I do not know. Like, he is so close to a big haul. But again, am I staying on him too long? I mean, if he's not getting the chances, you sell Werner without a second thought. But you're watching him, you just go, a mega haul is incoming. I'd be silly to sell ahead of Everton, for example. So yeah, I was happy. Bamford did well. Reece James is a joy. I knew that I thought Leeds would score, and I didn't bring James in for the clean sheet. He is going to get assists for fun, especially if Giroud starts. If Giroud plays games, Reece James gets more assists. I mean, Tammy, we saw in the game before against Spurs, Tammy can't hit a barn door. Reece James's delivery is amazing, and you look at Tammy, you just go, Championship. That's what in terms of finisher, like, it may be a bit harsh. I'm a Chelsea fan.
That is a bit harsh, yeah. I don't know if he's that bad, but I know what you mean. Like, Giroud's a weird one because I said this on a video the other day. He constantly doesn't get played by managers, and when he does play, he constantly scores. He scored 5 in 2 games now. And he almost feels like the perfect player for the players around him. Like the likes of Pulisic and Werner want to run on. Yeah. They want to play off someone, and Lampard's the type of manager who doesn't really switch it up too much when it's working. So the fact that Giroud's come in and done that, do you think he's going to remain in place for a few games now?
Yeah, he's obviously not Frank Lampard's cup of tea in the respect that he's not a runner, he's not got a high press like a Tammy. But you look at other managers, Deschamps for France, Giroud won France a World Cup without scoring in that run, but I think he played in every game or featured in all but one. Conte loved Giroud. He brought him in and he played Hazard off him. That worked really well. So I hope Frank warms to him. If Giroud continues to get the starts, then yeah, Reece James benefits, but also Werner and Pulisic will benefit as well. So I'm quite excited about that. I really expect Giroud to get a rest now in the Champions League this week and start again at the weekend against Everton, who haven't been brilliant at the back.
No, that's an understatement. They've been awful, really, in terms of clean sheets. And I agree on Werner. I think a lot of people now are starting to call him a bad finisher, but I would it's a frustrating thing in FPL because, you know, if you're talking in a general football sense, like Chelsea having Werner, then I want my man to be getting chances. He's getting chances. At some point, he's going to put all them away. He's not just going to keep missing them, and suddenly he looks like a world beater again. And for Chelsea, that's fine because they're winning anyway. But in FPL, you're always wondering if you're missing out on points elsewhere. When is the right time to move someone away that's getting so many chances? So let me bring up your team for next week. So it is Everton.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the last time they kept a clean sheet in the league. So you're not getting rid of Werner, I take it, this week.
No, and do you know what? There's because Werner's had so many minutes. There's always that fear he's going to miss out in one or two games. But now Ziyech is out and Hudson-Odoi is out. It's very likely Werner will play on the right, Pulisic will play on the left, Giroud down the middle. So I actually quite like that system. And I think Pulisic to Werner, we saw them link up nicely for the goal, both running in behind off Giroud. I'm excited about the Everton game, and I think actually Werner, I was close to putting the vice captaincy on him. Captaincy is always going to be on Salah this week. But yeah, I like that fixture. I don't know if I'm making a move this week, Andy. I look at the team and go, okay, that Sterling to Bruno switch, I'm tempted on every week and I never quite go through with it. And again this week, do I think Bruno will outperform Sterling? I'm not so sure if United are going to score against City. So yeah, I know. I just think City are going to dominate the ball with the injuries United have got, with the trip to Germany in the week against Leipzig. City will put out a B team in the Champions League. Again, a lot of this depends on Champions League. Does Jota get minutes? Does Sterling get minutes? Does KDB get the rest? But yeah, I think I'm probably just going to roll the transfer. And then next week, there's a bit of a fixture turn, isn't there? United have Sheffield United. Sterling as West Brom. Some of the Liverpool's don't have the Fulham fixture. Maybe I move Werner on. Maybe I get Bruno in. I think I'm just going to hold.
Yeah, I think it looks like a good week to hold if you've already got those premiums in place. Like basically, for any team that's got Salah this week, you're probably in a position where you might think about holding, because I would be the same as you. I think if I had Sterling, the Bruno switch is always going to be on my mind. But this week when they're playing each other, it's probably not worth doing. Man United did very well against City last year. That's all I would say. But I don't think it'll be high scoring either way. So I wouldn't see United scoring like 4 or 5 goals or City scoring 4 or 5 goals. So I think it could be quite tight. Thinking ahead though, like Bruno is one of those players where it seems crazy not to own him. But when you look at the fixtures City have versus Man United, they are as good. I would argue they're better, right? West Brom, I think they've got Southampton, Newcastle, and they've got another good game in that run as well. And Man United's aren't bad. Sheffield United, Leeds are in there. Sheffield United haven't kept a clean sheet. In Gameweek 13, when Sterling has West Brom and Man United or Fernandes has Sheffield United away, I know we're looking at a week ahead. Could you see yourself making that move? Well, surely you keep Sterling, right?
Yeah, I think I'd have to. If I'm keeping Sterling for this game week, I probably need him for West Brom too. The fear is that West Brom fixture, as all the Premier League fixtures for Game Week 13, that it's the midweek schedule. So it's just the fear of more rotation. So again, I'll be looking at how Pep manages minutes and try and work out, if I can, the chances of what I think Sterling will be as a starter. Whilst we know Bruno will be nailed, if fit, of course. So yeah, I want a way of getting Bruno in, but maybe I can get Bruno in and keep Sterling. There is an option of downgrading Timo Werner and upgrading Jota to a Bruno. That can be done.
Can you do that in 2 moves?
Yeah, but I think Werner has to go down right to a kind of, I think, sub 6 million. I think it gives me like 5.8 or something. So, I'm looking at a Welbeck or a Connolly or even a Brewster, dare I say it. So that is an option. Again, that's another reason why I want to roll the transfer, because it could mean a mini wild card ahead of Game Week 13 to get Bruno in and maybe keep a Sterling, or it could just mean that those 2 switches.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I guess it depends how much off you are. Like, if you could get up to like a Watkins, maybe.
I can't.
But if you're only a couple of 0.1 millions off, maybe you fund it with Lamptey down to 4.5 or something. Obviously, you don't have to worry about it this week. But that's maybe something to look at for the future.
And CalvertLewin can downgrade quite easily. It's the fear of selling CalvertLewin with his ownership, but that's another way of funding the Bruno to Jota move. Werner could downgrade and so could CalvertLewin.
Yeah, well, okay, let's talk about Calvert-Lewin then, because his fixtures are about to, they are about to turn. I think in the next five, Everton play Chelsea and City, which are the two hardest fixtures in that run for sure. Outside of that, I think on the FDR on FPL, like the fixture difficulty rating, they've got it down as quite a hard run. But as I said just a minute ago, Sheffield United haven't conceded yet. I think they play them. Arsenal. Sorry, I haven't conceded. They haven't kept a clean sheet, Sheffield United. Arsenal are just not keeping clean sheets either. So the run is maybe not quite as bad as it looks. What's your thoughts on him? Is it the ownership that's worrying you?
Yeah, do you know what? I know I indulged it saying I could downgrade DCL. I think it's very unlikely I'll do that. I'm very happy with him. His ceiling's not that high. It's a bit like a Jimenez. And I know he has had some high ceiling returns, but I often think with DCL at the moment, the way Everton are playing, I'm going to get a 6 or an 8 best case. But yeah, those fixtures, Arsenal, Sheffield United and Leicester are in there as well, who don't look brilliant at the back at the moment. And Sheffield United fixtures really nice for Calvert-Lewin. I think I'm right in saying Everton bought him from Sheffield United. That's his boyhood club. And no matter who Everton play, even with those tricky fixtures like Chelsea or City, I still fancy Everton to always turn up and score a goal. Ancelotti football is pretty progressive. He will chuck numbers forward. So I am fairly happy with him. And as you say, I can't forget the ownership. I'm guessing he's the highest owned player in the game at 61.9% ownership. So yeah, I really want to do everything I can to keep DCL in my team. He's not a captaincy option at the moment, but he is trickling along nicely.
Where do you kind of? I mean, obviously you're talking about downgrading him and Werner maybe to get Fernandes, so that would give you 4. I mean, it depends what your definition of premiums is, because you could say Werner already is a premium. To be fair, at that price, like, I think most people would consider Son a premium at his price, and he's what 9.5 or 9.6, something like that. So, do you think how many premiums do you think is optimum right now? Because some people don't even have Salah or De Bruyne. They're looking to get them in. There's Fernandes, Son, Kane. There's so many to fit in. Do you think 3 or 4 is decent, or do you think you can get away with just like maybe just 2 or 3? Where do you stand on that at the moment?
I am always of the school of thought you need to try and have one more in than the average, and with that reason, I very rarely don't have 4, and I'm considering Werner a premium just because of his price. I know he's not been delivering like one. So at the moment, I've got 4, and I've always got 4, and I'm very happy with that. And again, if I'm downgrading Werner, it's to get that 4th into the midfield, for example. So I like having 4. It gives you more captaincy options when especially we're going into a busy time of fixtures in terms of midweek fixtures, Boxing Day, New Year's. You need 90-minute men in your team, but you need those that perform week in, week out and don't suffer with rotation. And a lot of the lower to mid-price players, certainly midfielders and forwards, you think, okay, there'll be some rotation there. But the premiums rarely get rotated. So you know that Salah, Bruno, KDB, they're very likely to start all of these games over December, I think. For that reason, again, I like having those sort of talismanic figures at the club. So yeah, I've always got 4, and it gives you that captaincy option, that extra cap. And my captaincy has been rubbish this season, but if you've got that extra premium, it does make your decision a little bit easier to just navigate those best fixtures and best bits of form.
I also think it kind of covers you a little bit, because I'm thinking ahead. Like, I think for a lot of the time over the next few weeks, De Bruyne and Salah are the best captains. But there's one week, I think Gameweek 14, where their fixtures are okay, but it's not like Fulham or West Brom or anything like that. And Bruno Fernandes also has quite a good fixture in Leeds, who on their day can concede quite a few. So at that point, if you've got all the captaincy options, okay, if you get the wrong one, at least you're covered that you've got those points, even not from captaincy. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think you're right about the minutes as well. I think I'd be very surprised if Bruno Fernandes gets rested. I think last week, I don't think that was a sore foot. I think that was pure Champions League move. De Bruyne played every game week, or started every game week 9 to 27 last year, so he's a bit of a machine. Salah, I don't think got benched or rotated over Christmas. The only difference this year is for like Sterling and Salah is Liverpool have got Jota and Man City have got Torres, and Torres has actually been playing quite well. So I'm in a similar boat. Like, I've got Salah, but I know that potentially he could get benched for Jota. But I still think that Liverpool best formation is going to be the 4-3-3. And at that point, Jota's not first choice. So, I wouldn't be too worried. So I like where you stand. I do think some of the cheaper options, though, like, I can't see Calvert-Lewin or Bamford or Grealish getting a rest at all. So there's so many options, isn't there?
There is, and again, like that's how I'm forming my team. The likes of CalvertLewin and Bamford, they're in there, but I know they're 90-minute men, and I know they're playing week in week out, and I like that. I wouldn't like buying Neil Maupay at the moment because he's not absolutely nailed, or I don't know. There's a few examples. I'd actually even look at the likes of Watkins and go, with Wesley coming back, is there going to be a bit of
Surely
rotation
not.
there?
Surely
I
not
don't think
Wesley.
I don't think Wesley will be the starter, but I can see Watkins getting 70 minutes and not 90 over the Christmas period if Wesley's fit. But going back to Liverpool and that formation, I think you're right with the 4-3-3. But don't forget, with Klopp when Coutinho was at that club, the same front three are in place, and Coutinho was in the middle three. We've seen him do it against, I think it was in the Man City game, him play effectively a front four, but still with a 4-3-3. And Jota or Firmino kind of drops into that midfield three at times, and I still think Jota's going to be in the first 11 I think he'll start 3 in every 4 Premier League games. If he does, I'll be very happy. Very happy.
I mean, I'm an owner too, so it's not like I'm a non-owner trying to, like, I was worried. I am an owner, but I'm just not as confident. I do think he'll get minutes because there's so many games he can afford to rest them, and in the easier games like Fulham, like even if Jota gets minutes in the Champions League, if it's only like a 60 to 70 minute run out, he could just start all 4. I think the more midfielders they get back, the more worried I would be about him. I think Curtis Jones has played quite well in that free, and Henderson's obviously there. Keita's back now as well. So I think the more central midfielders they get back, the more worried I would be. But yeah, right now it's just such good value. It's worth just seeing how it plays out. I'll leave you on one more question. Defence is still very light. Obviously, Reece James now your most expensive one for 5.2. So you talked about maybe downgrading Werner at some point. Are you, rather than trying to get another premium, are you thinking maybe about upgrading the defence at all? And who would be your main targets at the moment?
So if I did go next week, Jota to Bruno and Werner down to, say, a Brewster, that would still leave me around $1 million to upgrade on the defence, which I definitely have on my radar. Look, I definitely want to. I do like, and I do like the idea of being able to get a Man City defender. Diaz possibly still Cancelo. I'd love Walker, but again, I can't afford him. He will be too expensive. And I'd love Robertson, but again, I can't stretch there at the moment. But what I would say is my budget back line, I'm going to play back 3 every week. Reece James is going to be in my team every week. And then I only need 2 of Masuaku, Lamptey and Target to have a good fixture. And at the moment this week, you can see they've not got great fixtures. But moving forward, you look at the next block of 5 games, they rotate really nicely with each other, and 2 of them will always have a nice fixture. So actually, for the time being, I'm okay with Masuaku, Lamptey, Target. 2 of them have good games in the next sort of 5 fixtures, I think it is. I didn't look massively ahead, but they've actually got quite a nice fixture on those guys.
Yeah, West Ham's definitely good. West Ham's definitely good because I've looked at both Bowen and Antonio. And Lamptey's, I know, after this week, I think they got Fulham and Sheffield United, or maybe the other way around. So, yeah, pretty good. And obviously, we know Villa's fixtures are good too. That's why we've got Martinez, and people are still holding on to Grealish, etc. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if all the premiums pull through again. I think no chance Salah gets changed from captain, right?
No, Salah's going nowhere. I said last week the KDB captaincy was the easiest captaincy I've had this season. This week's even easier, I think. Like Fulham and Salah is perfect for me. And I think his effective ownership is going to be way over 100%, right? It'll have to be.
I would say so, although, like, without going into it too much, I still think his ownership's quite low considering how good he is. I think the percentage of people that have both Salah and De Bruyne is only like 4% or something like that. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm sure I just saw a tweet like that before I came on. I might have the numbers slightly wrong, and that might just be like top 10k or something, but it's going to grow, of course, but I think considering how good they are for captaincy, it's crazy low right now. So I think you're ahead of the game on that, so you can maybe start thinking to other moves while people play catch up. All right, we'll leave it there. That's really good. Hopefully you get another 82 plus point week. That will propel you up the rankings even more. So yeah, decent week. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the team, any transfers that need to be made, and obviously hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around here. And if you want to check out the Fantasy Football Scout members area, there's a link to that in the description below. Gianni, as always, thanks very much for catching up with me on this.
Thank you, mate. Good to chat. And yeah, I'll see you next week with another green, hopefully.
Yeah, it's an early turnaround next week, so this Tuesday deadline. So we'll make sure we try and get this in before then. I think I like quick turnarounds. I think you get to make your decision. You don't have to worry about price, or you just get the players in and be done with it. So we'll see what you're doing next week, but we'll leave it there. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you next week.